Hi everyone, welcome back to Brome Bird News. Well, I have a special guest today, so stay tuned. Well, look who is here. David was in the area, so he stopped by, he visited our office, we had lunch, and now he's back in my backyard, and I have a few questions to ask David. So nice to see you here.
It's so nice to see you again too.
In person, not virtually.
I really enjoyed meeting Paul Cote, the owner of the company, and the staff there. It's a lovely group of people.
Yes, we love working together.
Yes, I'm very pleased to be part of the organization.
All right. Well, since David is here, of course, I have tons of questions for him, so I thought I would ask him personally. Well, first of all, I am curious to see, so what's happening with the birds in the wild? Like, you know, I hear a lot of negative news, but is there anything good out there, or is it pretty dramatically?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, Canada just got its state of the Canada's Birds report card this past spring, and it's, as I expected, it's pretty much the same as last year. There's good news and bad news. I mean, let me give you the good news first, is that the waterfowl, like the geese and ducks and so on, are doing extremely well, up by like 300%. Birds of prey are also doing well. That pleases me because I'm a raptor expert, mainly because we got rid of the those organochlorine chemicals, which were causing their eggshells to thin. And then you've got the seabirds, which are definitely inhabit Canadian waters. Some of them are doing not so good. In fact, a lot of them are not doing so good, but we don't know really the reasons why. And then of the ones that are not doing very good at all, of course, are the grassland birds. Are in serious trouble, probably because of changes in farm practices. And then you've got aerial insectivores like swifts and swallows are also going down big time, partly because we've been waging war on insects for centuries. And then you've got the shorebirds that use our shorelines and so on, and they're also declining from various reasons. And that really pretty much mirrors what's going on around the world. We've got about 10,000 bird species in the world, and about 12% of those roughly are in some sort of state of endangerment. And probably the top reason for all of that is what's facing all wildlife in the world today. You've got 8 billion people, and essentially any habitat that's suitable for birds is also suitable for humans, and so you get conflicts. And so habitat destruction, habitat degradation are a big thing in terms of declining bird populations. And then following that might be our use of and dependence on chemicals, both for industrial chemicals as well as chemicals for agriculture and gardens and all that sort of thing. And every time we ban one group of chemicals, the chemical engineers come up with new ones, and they may or may not have effects on the birds or not. And then you've got things like harvesting problems, like in everything from stealing parrots from the wild for the cage bird industry, and you know, bird egg collecting, the nest collecting for bird's nest soup. There's many cases of that where humans are taking birds from the wild for their feathers, their eggs, or their carcasses for food. And then on top of that, you've got invasive species. You know, you've got things like starlings and house sparrows here in North America. And there's all just sorts of examples all over the world of invasive species coming there and making it hard for the native species
just to survive.
And then finally, the other big thing that's come out now to light in the last decade or more is climate change. And although there are people out there in the governments of various countries who refuse to acknowledge that climate change is happening, almost all scientists agree that the climate is definitely warming. What the cause of it is, there's still people sitting on the fence about that, but the point is it causes problems for birds and other wildlife. For example, that birds that come up in the springtime are coming earlier now because they have a warmer spring, and when they get up there, everything gets out of sync. Their food isn't ready for when their babies are coming out of the nest, and you get drought, you get all sorts of climatic perturbations like hurricanes and things that make it really rough for the birds during migration, so a lot of birds die then. And so, and then you get the rising shoreline is going to have impact on all those shorebird species. So it's not a pretty picture, but you know, there are people out there and organizations out there that do care about birds.
Well, we do care, right? All of us really care about birds.
So, you know, whether we'll win in the end and whether technology will save all the birds or not is hard to say. The only thing I will say about birds, I say it all the time, is that a world that's unfit for birds is unfit for humans.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Melissa Burnham just moved to Tennessee, and she noticed that since early July, when temperatures started to really rise, blue jays, titmice and woodpeckers stopped visiting her suet feeders. She is wondering whether this is something that happens every summer, or is this due to high temperatures?
Hi Melissa. You are lamenting the absence of the blue jays and woodpeckers at your feeders in the hotter months of summer, but there's good reason for it. Usually from midsummer to the end, birds in general tend to stop visiting feeders for a number of reasons. The prime reason is that at this time of year, they're busy raising their young, which entails setting up a territory and defending it. While it's true that your feeders do provide a ready supply of food for all birds, it simply may not be a convenient source for the jays and woodpeckers, whose territories could be located some distance away from your yard. Second, a lot of natural foods these birds are adapted to feeding upon become available in the summer months, and thus they don't need our fast food restaurants during that time. Third, in the warmer months, birds don't require loads of fat for energy for keeping warm at nights and migration, etc. That's why our feeders are much busier from fall to spring. I noticed that you are enjoying giving peanuts to the blue jays who take them away to store somewhere in the ground, occasionally munching on one. As an added entertainment factor for you when they return in the fall, you might consider holding out your hand with a peanut or two in it. Blue jays, chickadees, and nuthatches are often trusting enough to take food right from your hand, but you do have to be a bit patient with it.
Have you ever wondered why birds have more dark feathers on their wings than the light ones? Well, a new study from Ghent University in Belgium shows us that dark feathers absorb sunlight and heat up much faster than the light ones. What's the deal with that? When feathers warm up, they actually change the air temperature that flows over the wings, which helps birds soar and maintain their altitude without having to flap their wings, which saves them energy. Researchers used stuffed wings of ospreys, black-backed gulls and gannets, and they heated the feathers using a UV light bulb. And each time when feathers warmed up, they changed the air temperature around the wings, which at least partially explains why birds can soar so efficiently. When my colleagues travel to China, they are always on the lookout for bird-related news there. And here's the most recent story that they brought for me. So in December 2017, 3 Chinese men used 30 kilos of poison to bait and poison 4,484 larks, which is a protected species there. Well, just now, those 3 men were ordered to pay $640,000 as a fine for poisoning the birds. I hope that that money will go towards bird conservation. A couple of episodes ago, I shared a story about the construction of the new Champlain Bridge here in Montreal and about the efforts that are being taken to relocate cliff swallows that live on the old bridge. But what the story didn't mention is the amount of habitat that had to be destroyed to complete the bridge. You see, the St. Lawrence River is full of small islands that have been designated as bird sanctuaries, and some of them had to be disturbed to finish the building of this bridge. Thankfully, a couple of ministries will be undertaking a restoration project on Île de la Paix, which is another island just south of Montreal that has lost most of its wetlands due to erosion from high waters. The compensation project will restore all the wetlands and bring back all the water birds and fish. Well, that wasn't an easy category to photograph. We didn't get as many entries, but the pictures were so powerful. Let's check out the top 5. For the 3rd place, we actually have a tie. So it's David Reed and John Mulhausen. 2nd place is Pamela Weston. And the grand prize winner of our Squirrel Buster suit is Paul. We haven't heard back from him, so we don't actually know his last name. Hopefully he'll see my email soon. Congratulations, everybody. Next month is hummingbirds and feeders before they all take off for the winter. Good luck, everyone. Well, this is all the news we have for you this week. Please don't forget to ID your birds on the photo contest. And remember, the next grand prize winner will get our new Squirrel Buster suit. Take care, everyone.